Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Priyon Joni, and today I'll be showing you 4 crossfader settings you can use when you're getting ready to scratch. I often get this question in my comment section of my videos. What setting are you using to scratch with? It's very simple actually, and for the most part, whether I'm mixing or scratching, I keep these settings set at all times. And we'll talk about optional additional settings that specific mixers and controllers may have. So before we dive into that, a quick word from our sponsor, Direct Music Service. DMS is an online database where DJs can get their music from. There's thousands of unique edits, remixes, and originals that you can choose from of your favorite tracks that you can use to rock your next dance floor. They also have an app that you can use on your mobile device where you can browse their database and then save songs so that it appears on your Dropbox when you get home. I'm gonna leave you 2 discount links down below in the pinned comment if you want to subscribe. Go to directmusicservice.com today to sign up. So, setting number 1 is the Crossfader curve. The Crossfader curve control is a setting that changes the fade length of the crossfader from the center to closer to the off position. This allows the crossfader to go from full off to full on with a small amount of movement. Without the ability to set the curve, the crossfader will always have a long fade to get to full on, which makes scratch techniques difficult to achieve. If you're scratching, it's best to keep this setting cranked to maximum. Even if you're not a scratcher, it's best to keep this on at all times and mix with the channel faders. If you want to know why, I cover this topic in this video right here. The curve control can be different on different DJ gear. Sometimes it's a knob on the mixer, like here on the front of the DJM-S11. Other times it's a 2 or 3 position switch, like on 4-channel mixers like the DJM-900NXS2, or what I have here, the DJM-750MK2, or it could be as simple as setting it in your DJ software, like in Serato or Rekordbox. Be sure to check your DJ mixer or DJ controller to see how to change your crossfader curve. Setting number 2, cut lag distance. The cut lag distance is the distance it takes to go from full cut to full on when the crossfader curve is set to maximum. That means the distance from off to on you can actually control. Changing the cut lag distance can actually affect how choppy your cuts sound. Increasing the cut lag distance can create a choppier and more pronounced cut, while reducing it can create a more fluid sound where the cuts are just barely audible. So some mixers like the DJM-S11 allow you to change the cut lag distance in the utility menu on the touch display that's accessible on the mixer itself. Other mixers allow you to change the setting in the settings utility on your laptop. On the S11 you can go either way, laptop or in the utility menu. If you have a Rekordbox entry-level DJ controller like the DDJ-400, you can change the cut lag distance in Rekordbox itself. If you have an entry-level DJ controller for Serato, like the DDJ-SP3, the cut lag distance control isn't in the DJ software, but it can be changed if you place the controller in utility mode. A lot of people actually don't know that, and I did a whole video covering that, which I'll leave right here. As you can see, there are different ways to change the cut lag distance, so be sure to research how to do it on your gear. But also keep in mind, not all DJ mixers or controllers have a cut lag distance control, and it's not a big deal if you can't change it. There might be some folks out there who watch this and might think to themselves,
maybe if I buy DJ gear that has cut lag distance, I can sound better.
This is a very secondary control and isn't as important as the curve control in setting number 1. If your gear doesn't have it, don't worry about it. Before we keep going, if this video is helping you out, I invite you to click that like button, and if it's your first time here, clicking the subscribe button followed by the bell icon, my YouTuber friend Cleveland Terry will perform an hour-long mix playing nothing but whole songs. And no, he won't. Stop. But for techno DJs, that probably means a total of 3 songs. Anyways, setting number 3, crossfader tension control. On Pioneer DJ gear, this is also known as the feeling adjust knob. The crossfader tension control allows you to increase or reduce the friction on the crossfader. Here's the feeling adjust loose. Here's the feeling adjust tight. This is often a feature that you see on magnetic crossfaders like the Magvel and Magvel Fader Pro, or aftermarket crossfaders like InnoFader. Once again, keep in mind, not all DJ gear is built with crossfader tension control. If you set the tension control all the way down to minimum, the crossfader movement will feel lighter and faster. But sometimes it can make the fader bouncy and land on a setting where the fader keeps the channel on when you meant for it to be off. If you set the tension control to maximum friction, the crossfader will feel heavier and slower. While it might be harder to use, it will help keep the crossfader from making unwanted movements. When there's tension control, I typically keep mine at about 40 to 50%. If your DJ gear has crossfader tension control, it can be changed one of two ways. Either it's a simple knob, like here on the DJM-S11, or it could require a screwdriver to increase or decrease the tension, like on the DJM-S2. DJ gear like the S2 have an access for the screwdriver, but there are also Pioneer DJ gear where the hole isn't there, but you can access the tension screw by opening the plate. If your mixer or controller has a Magvel crossfader, but does not have the hole, it's possible it's underneath the top plate. If you decide to open it, proceed at your own risk. Similar tension adjust screws are also found on the InnoFader, but may require you to completely remove the crossfader assembly to access them. Changing the tension can fundamentally change the way your scratch technique sounds because of how far and how bouncy the fader goes. Setting the right tension isn't just about ease of use, but about finding the right balance where you sound your best. If you don't have a crossfader tension control, it's not the end of the world. Crossfader tensions are set to typically have a neutral friction that is balanced. If your crossfader seems to have increased in tension or friction over time, it may have accumulated residue that prevents it from running smoothly. You can fix this by lubricating the crossfader. If you decide to do this, use very little bit. I'll leave a link in the description of the type I use. Side note, unless the accumulation of the residue is really bad where you have sticky friction when sliding the crossfader, I don't recommend using it on faders on entry-level DJ controllers. Using it on a clean fader on an entry-level DJ controller can actually make it feel stickier, and it can take weeks or months of regular use to get it back down to normal. Once again, use it at your own risk. Setting number 4, curve smoothing. Now this is a setting that the DJM S series mixers have. Curve smoothing is the ability to change the shape of the crossfader when it's set to maximum. It's independent from the crossfader curve control. The smoothing options are usually a selection of a rounder sine wave shape, which gives you a fade before the fader goes to full on, and all the way up to a sharp square wave shape that gives the fader a tighter sound. If you're a music producer, in ADSR terms, it's basically the attack control of your crossfader. It makes the beginning of your cuts either sound snappy or soft. Here on the DJM-S11, you can set your curve smoothing right on the mixer's touch display in the utility menu. We got 4 settings. We got sharp, none, small, and large. From left to right, the settings go from sharpest to smoothest, which is more of the square wave to the sine wave. Personally, I like the smoother sounding attack, while most scratch DJs I know like to keep it at default, or they like to use the sharp setting. It's modeled after the crossfader curve shape of mixers from the 1990s that were preferred by turntablists. It's a classic sounding shape. On some battle mixers out there, a fast scratching DJ can cut so fast that not all of the cuts register. An extreme example of this would be, imagine if someone was performing a very fast crab with all 4 fingers, but you're only hearing 2 of the 4 cuts made by each finger. The classic modeling of this curve shape not only gives the tightest possible sound, but also allows scratch DJs to go into ludicrous mode with their cuts. Don't worry if your mixer or your controller does not have this setting. This is simply a cherry on the icing of the cake. I have to stress, this is something that I don't think a beginner even needs to worry about. This is a setting you would appreciate once you master your transformer, 2 to 3 click to 4 click flares. You would have to be a level 3 out of 5 to be able to really notice the difference between these 4 settings. Now that you know about these 4 crossfader settings, remember, the most important one that is 100% necessary for you to scratch is setting number 1, the crossfader curve. 2 and 3 are great options, but they're secondary, and number 4 is only when you become a pro scratcher. As always, product links are in the pinned comment below. If you want to know what the most important scratch technique I believe everyone needs to learn, I'm going to leave that link right here. Really appreciate you for watching. Thanks, take care. The force is with you always.